So this time, the flavor of the week, we have photosynthesis. So the thing about photosynthesis is that it's something that happens innately in a plant, and it leverages, utilizes, alchemizes sunlight and UV rays. And plants have their version of this, and so we're using this as an analogy. What you'll know is that we have been going through the cycles and the seasons of planting intentions and planting new seeds. So with the Taurus new moon, we talked about the earth and the soil and the darkness of the earth and how that's important for the manifestation process, planting seeds of intention. Then we talked about the Gemini new moon, how the air and the wind can carry our seeds further out so that they can spread and grow. And then for the Cancer new moon, we talked about the water that the seeds need in order to grow and to thrive and prosper. And so now we're moving into the Leo new moon, which I'm going to unpack a little bit further. But the Leo, the sign of Leo, is ruled by the sun. Okay, so the sun as a luminary, it's not a planet, it's a luminous body in the sky. It is literally the center of our solar system, right? And so it is what gives us life on Earth. Without our relationship to that ball of fire, that gigantic, massive, monolithic ball of fire in the sky, you and I would not exist. We would not have life on this planet, at least not as we know it, okay? And so plants, the physical vibration and vitality and life of this earth needs the sun. But as an analogy, our manifestations, our hopes, our dreams, our healing, our goals, they also need sunlight. And so think about, as we go through this weekly refill, what does the sunlight mean for you? Like, is that more joy and laughter in your life? Is that loving, nurturing, compassionate, warm relationships and people who are supportive? Is it some type of stability, right? And so how are you able to look up to the sky and say, yes, maybe the literal sky for some of you, but look out at your life, let's say, whether it's the literal sky or just looking out at the landscape of your relationships or your own daily habits and routines. Where do I need more sunlight? How can I give myself the right amount of sunlight? Am I being deprived of the UV rays and the solar power that I need to grow and to evolve? Okay. So let's unpack the astro ingredients for this Leo new moon. So happy birthday, Leos. As I mentioned, whenever we have a new moon, it means we are currently in that season. So a Leo new moon means we are in Leo season. So major shout out to my lovely Leo lions. And the Leo new moon is happening on August 4th. So that's technically 8 days away from when I'm posting this video, but because it happens on Sunday and these videos are released on Sunday, I wanted to go ahead and include it the week before. So I've done that a few times. When things are happening on Sunday, I try to include them in the previous week's videos so that you can prepare for them and lead up to those moments. So the Leo new moon is happening on Sunday the 4th. If you're in the Western Hemisphere, at least, I'm not sure if it falls within that exact day for people further east. But it is an interesting new moon, a very potentially exciting new moon, because it's also sextile to Jupiter, which is currently in Gemini. And so Jupiter, as I've talked about before, they call it the major benefic. It's very beneficial. They call it the Santa Claus planet. It expands things. It wants to bring us all the gifts. It wants to be the jolly friend who makes everything fun and exciting, right? And so that's really good energy, really supportive energy, because a sextile is a beneficial aspect. So the degrees, as planets move through the sky, they are so many degrees apart from each other. And so when a planet, I believe, is 60 degrees apart, then they are sextile to each other. So the moon in Leo will be about 60 degrees from from Jupiter and Gemini, right? And so that is considered a helpful or beneficial, supportive degree or aspect, okay? And so, again, thinking about new moons being the times in the cycle of our lives that are really conducive to planting new seeds for things that we want to manifest or things that we want to grow in our lives, right? Things we want to start. And with this being Leo season in particular, with it being a Leo new moon, we want to focus on how can we bring in more sunlight, more UV exposure for the thing that we're planting. And I'm even getting that sometimes there's a time to like bury something and keep it a little secret, keep it a little hidden or a little private. And I wonder, and discussing this now, if the Leo new moon is actually a season to allow our intentions and wishes to be seen, right? So usually when you plant things, they're buried under the ground, but it's almost like even if we're planting the seed under the ground, we need to make sure it's in a space that can get where it can get a lot of sunlight and attention and a lot of warmth, a lot of nurturing. And the moon is a very watery sign. The moon rules the sign of Cancer. We just had the Cancer new moon last month. And with the moon being water and Leo being the sun and fire, we get, what happens when you mix fire and water? You get steam. But with this being a moon, I don't get that it's like boiling. I don't get that it's like really steam. I sort of get simmering, right? Like something has been simmering in our life, or something might be simmering right now. And the purpose of things simmering is very similar to waiting for the plant to grow, right? Waiting for the thing to manifest. And so to use cooking as an analogy, this thing is simmering. We're using the steam and the water and the heat and the fire, but it's not quite done yet. It's not quite ready to be taken out and plated and eaten and enjoyed. We need to let it simmer a little bit, right? And we might be smelling it. We might be smelling the herbs. We might be feeling that heat, enjoying the sound of the sizzle, but it needs to simmer. And so it still requires patience, even though it is fire and it is Leo, it is out there and willing to show up and be seen. With the new moon, we need to let whatever seeds of intentions we're planting, we need to give them time to simmer over the course of this new cycle, okay? And I've talked about Leo before. When the sun moved into Leo, I talked about it being the sign of the heart and the lion, right? So not the cowardly lion, but the brave lion. So this is a very brave-hearted energy, especially again because the moon rules our emotions. And so our emotional body, represented by the moon, being in the sign of our identity and our ego, right? It's a very brave-hearted sign. So this could represent emotional strength and emotional vitality. And what, again, part of our life is asking for greater emotional strength. And if we think about the intention that we're setting, the seed we want to plant, the new cycle we want to start in our life, it might require greater emotional strength, right? It might require us owning and stepping more fully into our emotional vitality and lending into our courage and our heartedness, right? And of course, the image I have here is the sunflower. Again, the sun, but also like a plant that is growing and blooming and that thrives in the sunlight. I just think it's a great example of what I'm kind of sharing here with these planting the seeds. There are things that we're trying to grow and nurture. A sunflower being one of those things that needs direct sunlight and that really thrives when it gets the right amount of sun exposure, right? And so I wonder, let me know in the comments if you're willing to share what new thing you might be trying to grow and nurture that might need some sunlight and that might benefit from, again, sunlight could be joy, laughter, some love, some just TLC, a little bit of creativity even, because Leo traditionally rules the 5th house of creativity and fun and play. Okay, all things to consider. And then we also have, because it's Leo season, I am sharing some items from the boutique. So I mentioned I have the zodiac sign t-shirt line, zodiac sign t-shirt line. And so for Leos, we have your featured design for this particular drop, I guess I'll call it, is you with the crown, Leo is royalty. Leo, again, being represented by the lion as the king of the jungle or the queens of the jungle. And so if you have a Leo in your life and you want to gift them a birthday present this season, check out drsarahscafe.com/the boutique. But even if it's not Leo season, you can buy these anytime just to rep your sign. All right. The other astro ingredient is Venus moving into the sign of Virgo on the same day, 8/4. And so 8/4, look out for 8/4. We have some significant transits happening then. Venus ingressing into the sign of Virgo. I've talked about Venus before. Virgo, I talked about when Mercury moved into Virgo a week ago or a couple of weeks ago. And so with this energy, I'm feeling high standards meet higher standards. High standards meet higher standards. So Venus being that diva, wanting the best of everything, wanting quality, wanting emotional safety and things that they love and a bit of luxury. And then Virgo being very attentive to details. It's okay in this season to raise the bar a little bit, to raise your standards, to ask for what you really want, ask for what you really feel you need in order to feel your best and look your best and perform your best, okay? So embrace your inner diva in that sense. And Venus and Virgo again being attention to the details, but with Venus, it's specifically attention to the finer details. And so for me, I'm thinking about like high-end fashion design would be one example, one illustration of the vibe that I get from Venus being in Virgo, right? And so here in this, on the right side of the screen, I have a fashion designer, right? So the stitches and the seaming and the perfect cut and the perfect shade of a color, the perfect combination, the perfect proportions. So it's beautiful things that are enhanced and leveled to a higher quality and standard because of the very, very close attention to details, not just the stitching, but the quality of the thread that you use for the stitch, right? This is actually really exciting to me. As someone who likes art and design, I would be really excited to see how this energy can be leveraged for people who are in those fields and in those spaces. Okay, and then for Virgos, I also have something for you. Because Venus is in your sign, the design that I have for you with the Zodiac t-shirts is High Virgo Vibes. High Virgo Vibes. And that is, to me, very, very much Venus in Virgo. Venus being that high vibration, and Virgo also asking for high vibrational experiences, even when you think about Virgo relating to health. And some people associate Virgo, especially Virgo moons, with sort of being hypochondriacs because no germs, want all the cleanest surfaces, the healthiest foods and that sort of thing. So just really keeping that vibe high. So again, if you are a Virgo or have a Virgo that you love in your life, you might gift them a mug or a shirt representing their sign. Okay. Now for the tarot ingredients. 2 cards. We have the 2 of Swords and the 3 of Pentacles. The 2 of Swords, this is on the right side of the screen. I have an example of what these cards might look like in one tarot deck. It is the Wild Unknown tarot deck. So the 2 of Swords can often mean a stalemate or a difficult choice. We think about swords representing the mind, your thoughts, your words, communications, and ideas. And so the 2s in tarot often represent choices, okay? Choice, or like a path that's opening up, or being at a threshold, right? Or making decisions, planning for the future. So the 2 of Swords often indicates that there's a difficulty in making that choice, or there's like a stuckness in moving forward with a particular choice. And I often think about this as a question of, is it that you don't know? Or is it that you don't want to know, right? Because the 2 of Swords can almost be like choosing to ignore the truth, or because of some mental block within yourself, you are choosing, even if it's a subconscious choice, to not see the truth. And the other thing I was going to say is it that you don't have any choices, or is it that you don't like the choices that you have? So if someone's saying like, oh, I can't decide what apartment to rent. It's like, I don't know what choice to make. And it's like, yeah, you kind of know what choice to make, but you don't necessarily like what that means, right? You don't like what it means if you say, yes, it's time to leave this place. And so you keep telling yourself, I don't know what choice to make. And really your spirit knows, your intuition knows what choice to make. It's just that your fear or your ego is like, yeah, but I don't like what I believe the consequences of that choice would be, whether those would actually be the consequences or not. Okay, and then the Three of Pentacles is Pentacles being earthy things, material world. The threes represent growth, expansion, creativity, in this sense, teamwork and collaboration. Threes often include other people in them. And in this deck in particular, it also represents determination and focus. And so you see the mountain here on the right, the Three Pentacles, and there's a mountain in the distance. It's a collaborative effort to achieve a bigger goal. Okay. A collaborative effort to achieve a bigger goal. And so who's your team? Where's your team? If you don't feel like you have a team, like how can you find one? Start to gather a team of people around you. Or maybe if it's not like a team in a traditional sense, maybe there's someone you partner with for this particular leg of your journey, right? Maybe there's someone you partner with for this particular project or this particular phase of a project, okay? And then even that determination and focus. The three can also be about learning. So I didn't get this originally when I was putting together the slides, but right now also we might be learning something new through various means. There are multiple ways to learn something. Hopefully you learn every now and then when you watch these videos, but for some people it might be a formal course of study where you sign up for an actual class or you read a book and you're like explicitly learning something. For others of you, it might be just learning from the people around you. Like you're just putting yourself into situations and around groups of people that innately are likely to teach you something, which could be very healthy, right? Like surrounding yourself with the kinds of people where you learn practical things, you learn spiritual things, you learn wisdom type things, like life skills type things or school of life type things. And again, like surrounding yourself with those people, even if it's through a book, right? So if you buy a book, you're essentially making a connection to that author or that writer, or you watch a documentary, even if you watch it by yourself in your car, you're still making a connection with that person. So you're collaborating with them via their documentary or their YouTube video to learn something, to elevate yourself. And so with the Two of Swords being potentially a stalemate or a difficult choice or a difficult situation, I'm wondering if we're going to get new information that helps us to make the choice. If we're going to learn something about ourselves or learn something about the field or the material, the subject of study, the people, etc., that helps us to make the right choice, that helps us to make a better choice. Now, alternatively, this could be choosing who we partner with. It could simply be, I don't know who to collaborate with. I don't know who to hire. I don't know what job to apply for, right? So there's a lot of choice around, or a lot of energy around making the right choices or making solid choices, being confident in our choices when it comes to the people that we attract or that we seek out in an effort to create and grow and learn and build and achieve things. And so the overall message that I did originally come up with was to open your mind to a different strategy. This might be opening your mind to the kind of person who can help you achieve that strategy. Opening your mind to the kinds of places and people you might learn something from. Opening your mind to, if you've been saying like, oh, well, I have to be the leader of this project or it's not going to get done. Maybe we rethink that. Maybe you can put someone else in charge of that project and it might actually get done faster because they don't have like the bottlenecks that you have, etc. So it could be a vast, infinite amount of things for each person, opening our minds to a different strategy potentially to help us get closer to the goal that we want to achieve. Okay. And our divinity leaves we got the Falcon. So I used the Divine Feather Tarot deck again. And the Falcon says, speaking of decisions and choices, use your keen perception and skill in making decisions. Do not delay. So this is double emphasis on the need this week or around this time for whoever this message has been for, to make some choices, to make some potentially difficult choices. And with this divinity leave message of the Falcon, it's possible that this is a choice we've been putting off for a while. We might have been delaying this choice for a while because the message is do not delay. Yeah, and keen perception and skill to me also speaks of that Three of Pentacles energy, where you've taught something, you've been taught something, you've learned something, you've shared something. There are people around you who have skills as well, who have different perceptions and viewpoints. So leveraging all of that to help you make the best choices going forward, okay? And somehow these choices are related to something that you're really working on, that you're actively wanting to create more of in your life. Even if it's like opening your heart, the decision to on which psychologist to see or which journal to buy for your new gratitude journaling practice. Okay. Now, so I didn't do a bulletin board for this week because I had I featured your boutique pieces here. So usually the bulletin board is like news updates about the cafe, about the boutique, the bookstore, etc. So just a reminder there to definitely check out the items in the boutique. And let's move into our poetry and pastry. I'm really excited about this one. So I'm recording this before the summer book club, but it's airing and being posted on YouTube after the summer book club. So shout out to everyone who joined, even though I have no idea who that is when I'm recording this. I imagine somebody might join me in discussing the summer book club pick. Also networking, for anyone who does join, it'll likely be the first time that we've actually gathered together in the cafe membership space to meet and greet each other, to discuss who we are, why we're interested in literature or magic, metaphysics, growth, learning, studying, co-working, coffee and tea, art, all the many things that make life so rich. But that means we are moving into different authors and new texts, aside from A Love Story for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. And this week we're featuring the GOAT. This poet has been featured in this series before, Gwendolyn Brooks. Gwendolyn Brooks is clearly one of my favorite authors. I really resonate with her and her story ever since she wrote my favorite book of all time, Maud Martha. But we're not reading from Maud Martha, although I have in previous refills. This one is a very, very short poem, and it's titled Speech to the Young, Speech to the Progress Toward, among them Nora and Henry. And this one really resonates with me. The title alone, if we start there, Speech to the Young, and young could mean an age, but really just young in spirit, being young at something, being young at your spiritual studies, for example. Speech to the progress toward. And that's really what's sticking to me, like speaking to the progress. Where are we headed? Where are we going? Going back to that Three of Pentacles image here, where there's something in the distance that we're working towards. We're making progress toward this mountain. We're making progress up this mountain. And so this poem and the title of it just reminds me of that. And the Leo new moon, so it could be a new journey that we are starting to make progress towards. And really, this line is just one line in this poem that I'm highlighting here. I'm going to read the entire poem because it's super short. But there's this one line that a rapper used in one of their songs, one of their pretty popular songs on TikTok. It was a very popular TikTok sound for a long time, very popular TikTok trend. And I don't think that Gwendolyn Brooks got her just recognition for this very powerful phrase and powerful line. So I've been on a mini mission, on a mini side quest to make sure that everyone who can possibly knows that these words, this powerful message originated with Gwendolyn Brooks, and who knows, maybe she got it from somewhere else as well. But we got to give dark-skinned Black women our props whenever possible, because too often we are overlooked and our contributions are ignored. So I wonder if I can share this screen. Let's see. Oh yeah, I can. All right, now you can read it with me. Let me make it bigger. We'll do this. All right, so speech to the young, speech to the progress toward, among them, Nora and Henry III. Let me make this a little bigger. Is that better? A little better, yes. Okay. Say to them, say to the downkeepers, the sun slappers, the self-soilers, the harmony hushers, even if you are not ready for day, it cannot always be night. You will be right, for this is the hard home run. Live not for battles won. Live not for the end of the song. Live in the along. Okay. So let me add this back. The phrase, even if you are not ready for day, it cannot always be night, brings me back to the energy of the sun and the beauty of the night, the beauty of the moon is just that. It's beautiful. It's transformative. It's powerful in its own way. But as much as we might appreciate and enjoy that, it cannot always be night. At some point, we have to return to the light of day. At some point, we have to look at and see reality, see the truth, and not always live in the dream state of nighttime and moonlight. And it's funny because this phrase seems counterintuitive to what people often say they're afraid of, which is the nighttime. A lot of times we picture the nighttime and the moonlight as being spooky and scary. But it's also a great place to hide. The night is a wonderful place to hide, to not be seen, to make sure we cover things up and conceal them. And so even if you are not ready to be seen, even if you are not ready to step into your light and let your light shine, there comes a time, there's a season for everything under the sun, right? And this Leo new moon, I wonder, it's for many of us, it's our time has come for it to be day for us. We might have been in a nighttime period, and that could mean different things to different people. And with the Leo new moon, it's like the first peak of the sun over that horizon. You can't see my hand, but I want you to see my hand. It's like the first peak of the sun rising up over the horizon. And so it's starting a new day. The dawn of a new day is another alternative flavor of the week. I could have called this the dawn of a new day. Your affirmation, my dears: I'm prepared to take confident, that is Leo, strategic, that is Virgo, action toward my goal. I am prepared to take confident, strategic action toward my goal. With that, my lovelies, I hope that this session has helped you in some way to refill your spiritual cup,